Hi, everyone, and welcome to Practice Growth HQ. Now, today we're going to talk about standing out in social media. The social media landscape has changed enormously and continues to do. And what you need to do to be able to stand out in 2024 and beyond is certainly quite different to what it was. And that's with my guest, Benjamin Shrader. Benjamin is the founder of Shrader Promotions, a leading event production company. He's based in Austin, Texas. He's worked with a number of major artists, and he's had his own experience with healthcare as a patient and some significant health challenges. So that's probably something we'll dive into as well. All the way from Austin, Texas, welcome, Benjamin.
Hello, hello. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is going to be a great time. I'm excited to discuss how best we can grow your practices on social media and talk a little bit about quite the adventure that I've had when it comes to the medical industry.
Indeed. Benjamin, we like to start with the fast five, kind of quicker questions, quicker answers, so people can get to know you more quickly. Question one, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Austin, Texas, the Lake Travis area, just a little outside of the city. Great place to grow up, the hill country, born and raised. So I
Wow.
really enjoyed growing up there.
We were discussing before we pressed play that Austin, Texas now is quickly becoming the kind of Silicon Valley of certainly of Texas, and it's starting to rival San Francisco. Lots and lots of startup businesses there. Question two, favorite book besides your own?
I don't have one yet. Once I do have one, I'm working on one, and then it will be my favorite. But it is actually a fiction book,
Okay.
Red Rising. Red Rising by Pierce Brown. It is about a sci-fi rebellion on Mars, and it follows just the character development is incredible. Romance is great.
Huh.
Can't recommend it enough. Best book I've ever read.
All right. Is there a business book that's influenced you?
I would say that a classic is How to Win Friends and Influence People. One that I have been reading very recently, which I originally got it as a joke, is I don't know the author's name, but the book is titled How to Deal with Difficult People, which is a funny title. But I had gotten the book because when my friends would come over, I'd put the book out and I'd say, oh, I was reading this before you got here, and get a bit of a chuckle out of them. So yeah, how to deal with difficult people, give some good advice. There's a lot of difficult people out there.
Indeed. I suspect the part of the premise of the book in some ways is how you treat people determines how difficult they are. But anyway, let's keep
Very
going.
true.
Question three, what is one of your superpowers?
That's tough. I would say I have very severe dyslexia. So I read at about a third grade reading level to this day. And I rely on text to speech, voice to text. And luckily, since the business is doing well, an assistant. But I would say my superpower is the fact that dyslexia forces me to speak. It forced me to hone my speaking ability, to become good at public speaking, because it's the only way that I can survive. And I'll never be able to read a teleprompter, so it's from the heart.
Okay, there we are. Question four, something you wish your 20-year-old self knew.
Family is the most important thing. Family is the most important thing. That one should do all they can to be close with family. I'm blessed that my parents are incredible. They're just beyond amazing. But even people that have difficult family members should put in the work to do as much as they can to be close with them. It's good for one's mental health, and it is just the right thing to do.
Good one. All right. And then finally, question five, something you're grateful for.
To be alive. And second, I would say my wonderful girlfriend. She's a saint. I'm grateful to be alive because we'll get into it in a second, but there's something going on up here. But my wonderful girlfriend is an absolute saint, and I'll be proposing to her soon. She's amazing. I love her so much.
I don't think we've had a proposal on Practice Growth HQ.
Oh, get ready. It's coming.
That's great. That's great. Now, look, the topic for today is around social media, but listeners, we want to spend a minute going on a little bit of a detour because Benjamin has got some unique insights about bedside manner of healthcare professionals. And I thought it was worth just pausing there for a couple of minutes before we talk about social media, because he has quite the story. Benjamin, tell us your story.
So I'm running my event production company. I'm in college. I started it as part of a program called Startup Baggyland, just slowly built it up over time, and then actually started organizing larger concerts are my specialty. Started organizing larger and larger events. I have a big show going on, a couple thousand people, place is packed, it's going great. And I notice that I have a little bit of pressure and hearing loss in my right ear, just a little bit, just a very small amount. And I would come to find out later only 2% hearing loss. But something doesn't feel right. So I schedule an appointment to go see the doctor so I don't have to worry, just so I don't have to worry and I can throw that worry off. And I almost didn't go that day because I said, oh, it's nothing. I should just cancel this. But I went and they looked in my ears and they said, well, it looks fine to me outside. Let's give you a CT scan. And I'll go into some more of the medical things since medical professionals are listening. They said, let's give you a CT scan. They get that back and they say, your bones look a little weird. The bones on one side look bent out of shape. It's probably nothing. You were maybe just born that way. Let's get you an MRI. So I do the MRI. Thank God I'm not claustrophobic. Praise the Lord on that, because I've had to get a lot of MRIs in my time. So I get that done and I have another show going on. I have another show and I'm very busy. I'm working. And so I say, okay, miss the call from the hospital. Then I get a call from my parents and they call me in a little bit of a panic. And it was in the afternoon at some time. Unexpectedly, I get a call. And they said, Ben, the hospital called us because we're your emergency contacts. They said you need to come in ASAP right away. And I think all of us know that it can be difficult to get a hold of the hospital and schedule things, that when they call you, that's not good. So I go in and doctor tells me I should sit down. Very nice man. And I think that he felt very bad about the situation. He said, you have a golf ball sized brain tumor, something called an acoustic neuroma, an overgrowth of myelin sheath nerve coating tissue off your hearing nerve, growing underneath your brain and pushing up against your brainstem. And this puts you at risk of a stroke. We're going to need to operate. And here are some options of places to schedule it. Now, I'm saying it rather frankly, but he was very nice about it. I remember just my first reaction, I laughed. Because it was sad funny. And when I got out, I kept it together till I got in the Uber back. Thank God I didn't drive that day. And then I told the Uber driver, I have a brain tumor, and I broke down. One of the first hospitals I went to look at, I was a little taken aback. And I won't say where it was, but I never like to be negative. I'm a very glass half full type of guy, but let's just say the facilities didn't look the best. It was just honestly scary. And the doctor was a little more gruff, just, okay, we'll do this. We'll pack it with fat from your side, the wound. We'll go in. You're almost definitely going to lose your facial nerve because you got your hearing, face, and balance nerve all together. My balance nerve was partially destroyed. My hearing nerve was getting damaged and my facial nerve was still intact. And I said, oh boy, I'm going to look for some of those pallid masks, get like a Phantom of the Opera type thing, because it would look like I had a stroke. I'd have no control of that. Next hospital I went to was amazing. MD Anderson in Houston, Texas, one of the premier cancer and tumor centers in the world. They said they had the best tech. They said, no, we don't need to pack it with fat. We will operate 2 doctors in 12-hour surgery. We'll cut a small hole here, and I will show you now the scar. 61 stitches all up and through here. Can you see it all right?
Yeah, I can see it. For the podcast listeners, I guess it's basically a straight line at the top of the spine from kind of shoulders heading up to the back of the head.
It almost looks like when my hair is a little bit shorter, I usually wear my hair short to show it off. It looks like a sickle going from the side of my head all the way down, almost like an S for my last name, Shrader. Okay. So it almost, but I like to show it off because I've been through a lot, but people think I have a crazy haircut.
Yeah.
So they operate on me. MD Anderson was incredible. They saved my facial nerve. So it'll spasm sometimes my face a little bit, but I'm able to control it pretty well. They removed it. It was a successful surgery. I did have to go back a year later to get Gamma Knife. They bolted my head in, and oh, that was something. My only complaint there was they didn't have a premium Spotify account. So the music playing every few songs was "We Are Farmers." Lowe's is great news. And that is my only complaint. So after Gamma Knife, the tumor is officially dead, but I got to go for my yearly MRIs. I'm going in November 12th. I'll be there at MD Anderson getting checked out. But that's my story of the brain
Wow.
tumor.
Wow. I admit I had an arthroscope on my knee, curiously, while I was living in the US. And it was just funny because they did have some music playing in the surgery in the theater. And no, they didn't have ads on Spotify, but I remember commenting about the song because, and then the anesthetist came in and said, "Oh, he made some joke about giving me a margarita." He said, "Oh, I'm just putting a margarita into your line here." And I was like, "We're talking about music," and then bang, gone. So it's funny how you remember those things. Now, Benjamin, let's just spend a minute.
Margaritaville, was it playing? Forgive me.
No, it was a Led Zeppelin song, actually. Which,
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
How funny.
I remember saying to them, Led Zeppelin. I wasn't expecting that lying about to have surgery. So, bedside manner, you've alluded to the fact that the first guy was pretty gruff, and indeed, it sounds like medically they probably weren't in the same shape as the other organization. What are the lessons for the listeners other than provide, be compassionate, be empathetic?
I was very fortunate that I was able to go to the best facility in the world. Not everyone has that option. And I think that really, even no matter what your quote unquote tech level is or what you have access to, the being nice and also, two, more importantly, explaining things.
Mm,
Very first one I saw, fantastic, did the best he could, but this wasn't his specialty. Second one, not 100% ideal, but then MD Anderson, Dr. Gidley, Dr. DeMonte, who operated on me, amazing men, and they did an amazing job. And I found that they really explain things to the patient.
mm,
Myself, the way I am, I say, okay, you seem like you know what you're doing, doc. I trust you. Do what you got to do.
yeah.
Just try not to make me too ugly at the end of it. I'm that type of person. But my dad, I love him so much. He's the best. He's much more of a, I want to know. I want to know everything about it. And they were amazing about really explaining it and saying, okay, you're going to need physical therapy. These are the things that might happen. You might have facial spasms.
Mm.
We will try to save your hearing nerve. And they really did. But it's very unlikely that we'll be able to. So get ready. And when I woke up from the surgery, all I hear in that ear is a constant ringing because the brain's looking for a signal that'll never be there.
Mm.
And I still wear an earplug in there though, so you never know. One day maybe they'll be able to reconnect it. But it's explaining things, being compassionate. I'm a relatively easy patient, I would say. I'm just like, do what you got to do. And I try to be nice because, much like we were discussing earlier, like book How to Deal with Difficult People. When you're nice, you get niceness back. The world's a mirror. But I would say overall for doctors, be nice, explain things, try to be understanding, and always look like you always know what you're doing, because that's what the people.
All right. Thank you for that. I realize, listeners, this is a reasonably long intro to a topic about social media, but I think it's worth at times just diving into what it's like to be a patient, particularly in Benjamin's situation where it's a fairly serious condition. And depending on what you're doing, maybe your patients, you're very rarely going to come across someone with something as serious as that. But nevertheless, just, spending a moment in their shoes is not a bad thing. All right, Benjamin, let's get on to the topic for today then, which is social media. We've got some time to cover this before we've got to finish up. For healthcare professionals, give me the case for social media. Why should they be doing it, and how do they do it better?
So let's say you have a small practice. You're working for yourself. In many ways, you're an entrepreneur. There are a couple different routes to take on social media that could be very profitable to you and could raise your image. The first is going to be your standard one. You have an Instagram, Facebook, TikTok for your clinic. And that's where you share positive things. You share, I don't know if sales would really be a thing, special promotions, get your flu shot now, those type of things.
Yeah.
You share that. And those accounts are good to have. And I recommend everyone having one. However, it's a critical part and it will increase some sales, but it's not going to be out the wazoo. It's not going to be something, not going to be earth shattering. And anyone who tells you that it is almost definitely exaggerating.
Yeah.
You have it, but it's not going to be crazy. The second is a personal social media presence where you are Dr. Insert name. And with the way that Meta verification works, I believe, I have to check this, but I believe that if you are a licensed medical professional, I know this is the case on YouTube, but on Instagram, you can actually get that approved where it says, and you can get verified and have it say you are a doctor.
Okay.
Like YouTube, it will have a little pop-up underneath. This person is a licensed medical professional in the state of or province. Forgive me.
States and territories.
Excellent. I embarrass myself.
No, that's
I know.
all right.
My good Canadian buddy, I'm always giving him a hard time about those provinces.
Yeah.
But we love you guys. Sorry we had to leave the empire. We're missing out.
Or good, or prefectures in Japan. Somebody was talking to me about that recently. All right. So I'm going to just recap what you've said and let's keep going. So step one, listeners, get yourself a practice account on Facebook. Almost all of you have got that. Instagram, most of you have got that. And the third one is TikTok. And the one thing one of the biggest changes in TikTok in recent years is that it's gone from just dancing videos to being much more mainstream social media now. Indeed, the truth is I've got a media team in my business and we didn't have any presence on TikTok at all, but now we do. And in many cases, you can use the same sort of content. So then the second part is about setting up your personal social media account. Benjamin, can the listeners do it so that they have their kind of personal brand, which is a different account to the one that they would use with friends and family to talk about their holidays and so on?
100%. Okay. You can have your John Smith, your personal Facebook account, and then you have your Dr. Smith account used for the business. One point that you're addressing about TikTok is a very good point. I find that I'm a little more, I don't use TikTok as much myself. I do worry about it getting banned or things like that, which probably won't happen, but it's in the back of my mind. And then second, it is difficult to get any type of help with problems on TikTok. That is something I've found, like Meta is great about that. Like I had a call just the other day with my Meta advisor, they're great about that. And YouTube's the best about that type of thing.
Okay.
So for your personal doctor TikTok, one day, hire a videographer, have them come in, film your whole place, and use that on the company business, your organization account. Then sit down with him, get the background right, get a videographer that has some lights and lights and mic, very important. You need to be mic'd up because the audio needs to be good, and you need lights because you need to look good. Have them come in and film you, discuss different things, have some pre-prepared questions. You could even have them ask you. You could have one of your staff be an interviewer, those type of things. And then you can just splice out those answers. Then you have all of this content. You spend a day doing this. There is an AI called Opus. It is one of the best AIs for you put in a ton of content and it generates clips for you. When you're scrolling through YouTube Shorts or TikTok and you see those shorts pop up of podcasts where it has a pop up with the text, Opus does all of that. Get a premium account on that and use that to generate your shorts. Shorts are going to be primarily how influencers grow a lot, and when it comes to YouTube. You're also going to want some long form content, but shorts for social media, Instagram, Facebook shorts are really going to be the only thing you can put out. A little bit of long form for YouTube, and then a lot of shorts.
What
Now, why
define short?
oh, yes. Shorts is going to be at 1 minute in a vertical
Okay.
setting, a
Okay.
vertical layout,
Yeah.
so that it's your YouTube Shorts or your TikTok. Now, the personal brand, you do bring up a very good point of, do the people want? Do you want this? And that's something you have to decide. I chose to have no separation. I have one Instagram account at Benjamin_Shrader. That is where I share both work and personal things. We have company accounts, but then that's me. My brand is also who I am. Now, not everyone will want to do that, and I totally get that. When you do have a separate account, it can be a little harder to actually post on it, actually maintain it. You can hire people to do this, and that might be the best. It's sometimes a little hard to find people, but the company Upwork is great. So if you want to find people to work on these things, it's like Fiverr, but more professional.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So I'd look, I mean, the journey you're describing, I've been through myself. It started on Facebook, and I made really no distinction between my personal one and my professional one. And then my family started to get sick of it because they'd see my posts and then they'd be all these weird and wonderful people engaging with it. And I think, for example, in Facebook with your personal account, it maxes out at 5,000, and I'm right around that mark at the moment. I guess I've got people working for me, and indeed, listeners, you're probably going to need to get some kind of help here, but they can set up, I've got something called Angus Pryor Official, so that it's a kind of a personal brand, quote unquote, but it's my business one. It's not my personal one. That's not to say that there's nothing personal that goes in there, but it's not the one that I'm connecting with family and friends on. One of the things that's important in this space is that personal brand, which means you've got to figure out, Benjamin, what you want to be known for. I would say, as a rule of thumb, maybe what you want to do is say, just describe me in 3 words. Describe yourself. It's, what do I want to be known for? And you'll say, oh, I'm a dentist, doctor, physio, etc. Yes, okay. So that's one of the words. But even then, maybe you've got to go a bit deeper. Maybe you've got to say, oh, I'm the athlete's physio. I'm the doctor for, God forbid, golf ball sized tumors in the back of the head. I'm being a bit facetious there, but you get the idea. So that's one of the things you want to be known for. But what else do you want to be known for? I've got a friend of mine who's got a very strong hobby, trains, believe it or not. I think he loves the sort of technical aspect of it. And so you don't need to be dead bland in this stuff. It's, yes, you've got your personal stuff and what you want to be known for, but what's your thing? Is it cats? I've got another friend who's a crazy cat guy, quite honestly, and the cats are appearing in that. It just adds a little bit of an extra layer in relation to your personal brand, rather than just being the guy who's always talking about whatever it is. Thoughts on that, Benjamin?
I completely agree. How I got my start was I always wore a suit. I always wore a suit when I was out every single night trying to get my first nightclub to take me on as their event coordinator. You need a brand. If I would have had to pick 3 words, suit, smile, loud. That would be my three.
Fantastic.
Bodacious probably would be my third one. That's the way that I say it. If that can sound a bit odd. Suit, smile, loud. I'm always smiling. I'm always in a suit, and I'm always making sure that I'm heard while trying not to be too obnoxious. The personal brand and what you are and what differentiates you, not only in your niche, but also as how are people going to remember you? When people think of these doctors they see on social media, they likely don't even know their names. However, those who do will generate sales for you, hopefully. And those who don't will increase your prominence. There are some people who want to be known. Do you have that in your heart where you want to be known? If you're a doctor and you're making great money, you can be known. There are companies like Otter PR that you can hire to just help build your personal brand. And there are whole marketing agencies that can be brought on to help you build this. You can hire a staff. Myself, I have 2 people that work for me. And a big portion of what we do is just making sure the social media is right. Social media is good. I'm getting back to my emails. I'm doing all these type of things. There is value in having that brand for raising your prominence, brings speaking engagement opportunities, book opportunities. There are a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah, look, two further comments as we begin to close. The first is in relation to what we'll call your organic presence. So this is not about running ads. This is just when it's typically when people come looking for you. Look, over time, if your profile goes off, then maybe people would just see you. But mostly what happens is I'm thinking about getting a healthcare professional. I've gone to your website, I've read a bunch of Google reviews. The social media can often be really just about reassurance. It's what are these people like as people? And you've just got to be careful because you want to make sure you've got a consistent message across your different platforms. For example, and we've already alluded to this, if you've got a practice and you say, we're really technically advanced, and your website shows shiny machinery, and you talk about, and the Google reviews say, oh, those guys were really amazing. And then people get to your social media and it's either empty or missing. There's a sort of a disconnect there. It's on the one hand, you're saying how advanced you are with technology. On the other hand, in one of the key technological platforms, you're completely missing. So that's one area you've got to watch out for. The other thing I'd say, and Benjamin already alluded to this, is he's got a couple of people helping him with his social media. It's fair to say what you need to do in relation to social media is a lot more now than what it used to be. In my business, the amount of content we produce has increased enormously compared to what it was. And in many cases, that's just to achieve about the same results. 5, 10 years ago, maybe if you had a post once a month, that would have been okay. But we'd encourage you to take it seriously and look for more opportunities to get your message out. Benjamin, as we come to a close, final thoughts?
I would say if you want to see a doctor that's doing it right on social media, there is a friend of mine, Dr. Eye Health. That's Dr. Eye Health. He's very successful on YouTube. He talks about the eye and its health. He's a optometrist, I believe. I might be totally saying the wrong one. Great guy, and he does an amazing job on social media. I would say first, or I guess finally, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, discussing social media, sharing a little bit about what I went through. And I look forward to perhaps one day doing this again. And I hope that your listeners really find some valuable takeaways and start that account and post every day and take it seriously and treat it like the business that it is.
Absolutely. Benjamin, if people want to get in touch with you or learn more, what should they do?
The absolute best way to reach out or follow me is on my Instagram at Benjamin_Shrader and my YouTube, Benjamin Shrader. And that's Shrader. My father would joke that it's cheaper without the C.
Okay, there we are. All right. Thanks so much for your time, Benjamin. I really appreciate the technical insights that you shared, but also your story, which is hard to go past. Thanks again.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone, we've covered a bit there, haven't we? And as I like to say at every show, it's not knowledge that's power, it's applied knowledge that's power, which begs the question, what's one practical thing you can do as a result of what you heard today? Maybe you don't have a practice TikTok account. Maybe you need to figure out what are your 3 words that you want to be the branding theme. Make sure you go and do that before you go on to the next thing. Finally, if you got some value from our time today, then please head to where you heard this podcast, leave us a lovely review to give us the encouragement to bring you more great content every week on Practice Growth HQ.